The progress of medicine is mainly based on research. As we know, the greatest revolution of life science in the history occurred in recent and last centuries, and the outlook of modern medicine is totally different today. This year, we have a total of 39 medical students applying to this program. To all our students, I hope this program can inspire your interest and will be helpful for the development of the career in the future. Whatever you have accomplished in this endeavor, it definitely you will go a long way and you will contribute to better knowledge of medicine. Thank you all. And I would like to remind students, because time is very tight, you should catch your time for your presentation. Let's start the presentation. I would like to introduce the first speaker of this morning, Mr. Yang Wong from National Defense Medical Centers. And he is going to talk about immune response in rheumatoid arthritis in mouse model.
RA is driven by CD4 T-cell mediated immune responses, and we also discovered that BLIN1 suppresses IL-21 expression in CD4 T-cells, attenuating autoimmune diabetes and colitis. In our study, we utilized this KBXN mouse model, which is a model of human inflammatory arthritis. So, we can conclude our research that BLIN1 overexpression in T cells attenuates rheumatoid arthritis through multiple mechanisms as follows.
Since BLIN1 is a transcription repressor, and I have seen that IL-21 is a target. So, have you checked other target of BLIN1 in the CD4 T cells?
Would have a positive regulatory effect on Th17, while BLIN1 also has a negative regulatory effect on Th17 in other animal models. So these two mechanisms might come together, and so that it causes to not see the differences between the two.
Maybe you could look into the literature to see additional transcriptional target.
Thank you. I will do that in the future.
This approach activates specific neural circuit. So, to address this, we use diffusion kurtosis image (DKI) to identify structural abnormality linked to ASD behavior. This is our experimental timeline. We're divided into three groups: HC, ASD DBS off, and ASD DBS on. We found that DBS reversed microstructure band alternation in ASD rates. This finding highlights the therapeutic potential of the DBS in addressing the core ASD symptom.
My question is that you mentioned about the neuroinflammation, that is microglia activation is attenuated by the DBS stimulation. Why DBS can attenuate or can reduce microglia activation?
In this question, we are not sure the mechanism in this. But we did see the phenomena of this.
As we can see, the nearby anatomy structures indicates the high probability of lymph node metastasis of thyroid cancers. Since cancer is related with gene expressions, I analyzed the key regulators that controls the gene expressions in the thyroid cancers. Most of the studies focus on its associations with cancer cell migrations. And amongst those downregulated genes, I identified two cell cycle regulators. So the cell was stemmed with PI signal and EDU signal. NIMSNAP1 and NIMSNAP2 will form a heterodimer and translocated from inner mitochondria.
Then how come you again say that will help for the thyroid cancer cell, the relationship?
ARHGAP29 will help the damaged mitochondria be degraded. Even so, we know that the cancer cells is highly proliferated, and when highly proliferated, it may have many damaged mitochondria. So we think that ARHGAP29 serves as a signal for damage to clear the damaged mitochondria to prevent the cancer cell cycle arrest, and which means that they can keep proliferate more.
In the tumor microenvironment, the cancer is known to utilize lactate to produce utilize glycolysis to produce a large amount of lactate. We first reduce the glucose concentration in the cell culture medium to minimize the intracellular lactate level. Mechanistically, the lactate can support the cancer cells by two ways. So here, for the first time, we discovered the lactylation on a receptor tyrosine kinase, ALK. Interestingly, the ALK-TKI agnatinib does not affect this lactic acid effect on stabilizing the expression of HIF1 alpha.
Impressively, so you plan to do some patients using
Yes.
biopsy to see the ALK positive. So you want to see the lactylation.
Yes.
So how to do that?
Yes, so we will first develop the antibody to target the ALK, the antibody that can bind to the ALK lactylation. That's why we can stand it to see the ALK lactylation. It will generate a small peptide that contains the ALK lactylation and put it into the rabbit or mice body and to generate the antibody to target that.
So you didn't use a common lactylated antibody, you use a specific lactylated ALK antibody.
Yes.
And this research have elegantly proved that lateral birthing activity is a crucial part of the depression method. I combine anterograde and retrograde targeting technique to label DI innervated and also RMTG projecting LHB neuron. And consistent with my finding that the DI send inhibitory input from the RMTG and show less activity under depression. I also identified the DI to RMTG pathway, which is weaker but more direct to induce this activity.
My question is whether it has been proven that this hypoactivity of zona incerta is due to that the substantia nigra is upstream, the substantia nigra's activity is affected.
Actually, we all know that substantia nigra are responsible for mice movement. And actually, the first function that we discovered in the zona incerta is movement, but here we focus on the depression one.
CDI in IBD patients face significant higher rates of treatment failure and recurrence compared to non-IBD patients. We include ATA patients who underwent FMT for refractory or recurrent CDI. We use Mayo score for ulcerative colitis to assess the disease severity. The definition of CDI is defined by diarrhea and positive stool test for CD toxin. Then we can direct our research to address this gap, providing clinicians with more valuable information.
You mentioned in your presentation that poor bowel preparation is a factor for shortened successful rate of FMT. So what's the relation of a poor bowel preparation?
Use a range scale to definition and classify these 4 types of preparation. And we can see the poor bowel preparation is the D picture that show that they have semi-solid stool that cannot be decreased and less than 90% of visible vision can see.
And
our method of sampling is to apply 5 Newton force for 10 minutes and then use tape to fix the microneedle on the back of the mice. There is one area for 1 centimeter square for HE staining. As you can see on the last day of our animal experiment, we can see the psoriasis-like skin on our mice. Interleukin 6, interleukin 23, and TNF-alpha are highly associated with psoriasis. In volcano plot, we can see keratin 6B and S1JAA, serpin B3A gene in mucomol applied mice is raised significantly more than.
When you use this method, are you able to tell the degree of the disease, the severity of the disease?
We want to use this method because we want to sample the tissues and do the RNA sequencing and to analyze the transcriptome profile of every patient. And for this purpose is because in some research we found that like if for the treatment of the psoriasis.
Decitabine is an analog of cytosine, replacing the carbon atom with nitrogen atom. Our modification is to add additional group to the structure of AUCG on nucleotide. So this will sensitize ML cell to the treatment of decitabine. By Western blotting, I confirmed that the knockout and the overexpression is successful. And the key question in my study is what is the role of increased P21 expression? So I first separated dead cell from a live cell using a Nextin-5 conjugated magnetic bead. And because P21 regulates cell cycle by binding to cyclin and CDK complex.
In the beginning, you are going to address the issue about mRNA M6A modification of P21. But later, you focus on demethylation. So it's a point that I would like to clarify.
PCF1, there is a WW domain on PCF1 which can interact with the CTD domain of RNA polymerase 2.
Right.
So PCF1 can interact with polymerase and add M6M when transcription is happening.
Among the mechanisms of chemoresistance shown here, we concentrated on the tumor microenvironment. According to studies, CAF-mediated signaling pathway involves in multiple cancer processes. MRC2 differentially expressed between tumor and normal tissues in various cancers. And this graph on the right shows an overview of how MRC2 regulates chemoresistance. It regulates autophagy, possibly leading to chemoresistance in gastric cancer via the interleukin-6 JAK-STAT3 pathway.
In your study, I'm wondering, can you explain more about the autophagy marker and the relationship of chemoresistance?
In our research, we have not 100% sure whether the autophagy really influences the chemoresistance, since we only show the autophagic marker in our Western blot analysis. So this is why in the future we'll continue to use such as the autophagy inhibitor.
So there's a reaction and diffusion model of spreading deposition propagation. So this is just to summarize what would happen. What we've done is that we slice mouse brain and also we have freshly operated brain tissue from patients with brain tumors. And so this is what I've done in the lab. So I used local field potential recordings, and then I gave one.
But I mean, you want to use in the KCL to induction for the CSC. So if any other group has done such kind of thing?
Yeah, exactly. So I saw like a few people doing this, also some with canic acid. So with the potassium chloride, they saw just like a direct current shift.
Winner Award. Chen Guoyu from China Medical University. Outstanding Award. Li Yangxiao from National Yangming University. Top Grade Award. Wen Wu Yang from National Defense